What is going on, guys? It is your boy Toller Talks here from the Middle Seats podcast. And we all know the middle seats are the best seats at the theater, right? We're too old. We're not sitting in the back. We're not making out with our high school girlfriend. And we're not sitting in the front because that hurts my neck. But I'm joined, as always, by the man, the myth, the legend, Generation Offended. How are you, sir? It has been too damn long.
Yeah, it has been too long, and an entire season of The Last of Us has gone by, and we have a lot to talk about, man. This is brutal.
Jesus.
This finale is brutal.
The time we talked, it was after they killed off Joel, and it's holy shit, has it been a gold mine ever since?
Oh my god, yeah, it's just endless schlock. It's terrible. No enjoyable characters, no understandable motivations. Ellie is the worst protagonist I've seen in a show. I want to say ever. I can't think of one that's worse. She's just horrible casting, horrible acting, and worst of all, the writing is really bad. And I know that people really, and myself included, I've come down on Bella Ramsey's appearance. Right? It's not the greatest, and it's a little mean sometimes, but I think it's mostly, from my end at least, it's mostly just reinforced by the fact that she's not very good at acting and she's a horribly written character. It's really, really bad. I do not like the character of Ellie. I'm not rooting for her at all. I find her despicable, mean-spirited, uh, you know, arrogant, rude. Like there's no positive qualities I can think of
Wait,
when describing her character.
I don't think it matters if you come down on her looks or not. I mean, folks are very familiar with my series, my episode breakdown, where I do the game to the show, and I do pretty much scene by scene. I compare what happens to the game to what happens in the show, and I haven't said shit about Bella Ramsey's looks. Nothing. I've said nothing. I've attacked her acting, her lack of emotional range, and I still had somebody in my comment section with the finale breakdown saying that I wished I could jack off to the protagonist of the show. And I'm like,
I got that so much, man. Every fucking video is just like, "Oh, if you don't like this show, you're either an incel or you're a PDF file." And it's like, "Wait, what?"
yeah, I'm like, I haven't said shit about her looks. Like, why is that the instant defense, against criticism with her? I just don't fucking. But like I said, I've said this in one of my breakdowns too. It's really funny that those people say that. They'll say, you're a PDF file, or you just want her to be attractive and she's a kid. But then those same people are clapping like mindless seals when she's over there finger banging Dina. And that's like, hold up a
No, I
minute.
know. Yeah, that's a great point. And as well, she's not a child. She's like 21, 22 years old. Like she's an adult. It's not like you're creepy for like she's not much older or much younger than me.
Right. So I don't get it. But I mean that's kind of the universal, the blanket defense for criticism of her. It's like, oh, you just don't like the way she looks. And I'm like, I mean, through 2 months, like I said, 2 months of my episode breakdowns, literally every single episode, Monday, 1 p.m. EST, I have never mentioned her looks. And I still have people in my comment section saying stuff like that. And it's like, come on, man.
I think it just shows how low people are willing to stoop to defend this garbage. Like you can't ignore the fact that the writing's terrible. You can't ignore the fact that nobody's likable. You can't ignore the fact that it's just a all around mess of a show. So you have to, just go after the person criticizing the show in the most evil, like stupid, ignorant way possible. And that's just these wild accusations that don't make any sense.
Yep. Anything to devalue someone's opinion, but you're talking about just some of the stuff that was going on in the show. And I think the finale was pretty much like the what's the word I'm looking for here? The finale exhibited all of the worst qualities of the show that ran rampant through the entire series. It's like they had every single bad thing that could have happened in the finale did. So what are your opening thoughts as far as how they went about things, the characterizations? Just give me your thoughts in general.
Well, I think it wasn't the worst episode of the season. I think the previous one with the Joel flashback, to me, that was probably the worst in the way of it was boring, mean spirited, and had all those terrible things, like Bella Ramsey's bad acting being really prevalent. picking on Joel, all that stuff. This episode was really bad, like you said, for all the same reasons. But it just didn't really make any sense, like a lot of the time, because they're trying to cut the story in half with Abby's story being told in season 3. So there's all these like loose plot lines going on, and nothing's ever really explained. Like we don't know why the Scars and the WLF are at war really at all still, and we don't know what's going on there. But they keep kind of teasing it for next season. Uh, what was that whole bit about Bella? Sorry, Ellie. She gets on the boat, heads to go kill Abby, gets hit by a fucking tidal wave, lands on the island with the Scars, gets captured, let go immediately, and then just goes right back to what she was doing. That was the most useless time wasting scene I have ever seen in TV, I think. Like I can't think of another scene that comes to the top of my head that just served no purpose to the story. If you just cut that out, the story would not have changed. She didn't learn anything new. She didn't gain any perspective. She didn't lose anything from it. She literally got in the same boat again and headed off after Abby. It makes no sense to me. And that was like a huge flag of like stupidity and like bad writing. Yeah, it's just full of holes. There's so many stupid decisions being made with Jesse's character. Like, why did they leave Dina alone when they went to go get Tommy? Right? Like, they're leaving the pregnant, wounded girl alone with no defenses for no reason. Like, leave Ellie there, have Jesse go find Tommy, bring the horses back, and then leave Seattle. Why would you leave Dina, the pregnant one, so defenseless? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Nobody's operating on a logical level. People aren't acting like they're in the apocalypse. And yeah, it's really hard to just narrow in on one thing because we could literally sit here scene by scene and go through how fucking horrible this all is. But
Well, one
yeah,
thing I want to bring up real quick that you talked about the island, right? And I thought about including this in my video, but I'm like, all right, I've already been talking for like 11 and a half minutes. I'm like, nobody's gonna sit here and listen to this shit for this long. So I kept it out. But you do the island, right? And Ellie, gets on the boat and the boat hits a big tidal storm wave and then, washes up on shore. Some people have mentioned it in other videos I've watched, but a lot of people have glossed over it. She doesn't know how to swim. Okay. So
right.
but here's the thing. She does in the show. You can tell, obviously, she survives, but this is kind of one of those gross oversights that this show does. So we literally just came off of an episode where there was a bunch of Joel flashbacks. In the game, there's a sequence that you see where Joel pretty much just throws her in a river and she screams like, oh, I'm going to drown. And Joel's like, oh, you're not going to drown. You're fine. That whole spiel. And it kind of serves as a way to show that Joel taught her how to swim in a very, tough love kind of way. And so I thought that was funny that not even an episode later, we see that Ellie can swim. She didn't drown when the boat went over. And it's like, look, if you guys would have taken 5 minutes from all the stupid shit that happened in episode 6 and actually showed Joel teaching her how to swim in a way, in a very brief flashback, 5 minutes, that's fine. That would have been, you know what I'm saying? Like that would have I would have rather them taken out the scar scene altogether, right? And them letting her go just in the nick of time because, oh, that's convenient. And, shown that she knew how to swim to kind of reinforce what would have happened, what we should have seen in episode prior. It's just little nitpicky things like that where I'm just like, you guys just didn't pay attention to the finer details. You really didn't.
Yeah, totally true with the whole swimming thing. I mean, there's so many little things, you're right, like, you could just be nitpicky through the entire episode, but, like, that whole her getting onto the beach, right? Like, the fact that she gets hit by the tidal wave conveniently lands right beside her boat. Her boat is fine. It's not, like, waterlogged or anything, it's just sitting there perfectly on the shore, like, it's like, a crew put the boat there purposely. And then she washes up on shore. For some reason, there's a child standing right on that beach watching her get up. And then she doesn't stand up to shoot the people that come to get her. She just crawls around on the ground for a while, screaming. And then they grab her. And then they take her into the middle of the woods. And she has this horrible explanation of how she's not a part of the WLF. And they try to execute her anyway. They disarm her. And right before she gets executed, she's conveniently saved by a horn, and they just don't kill her for some reason. Like you're halfway there, and I know that like the horn means go save the town or whatever that they need to do. But why wouldn't the scars just slit her throat really quickly and leave? That doesn't
Right.
make any sense. Why would you leave somebody you think is your enemy so close to your base and like within arm's reach of her own weapons? Like it's not like she's that far from her guns. She literally looks at it.
And
It's
that's kind of
just
like the progression or the escalation of viewing the show, right? Is that, you know, I can forgive the fact that the boat is completely fine. Okay. I can suspend a little bit of belief. We're in a post apocalyptic area where fungal people are running around killing people. Okay, cool. I can forgive the boat thing. I can forgive her magically knowing how to swim, even though we don't know how she got that ability. I can forgive that. What I can forgive is 5 whole ass minutes that mean nothing. It means
exactly.
nothing except for showing how cheap and lazy the writing is, where she just gets saved right in the nick of time. It didn't progress the story any. It didn't show us anything different. We've already seen them disembowel somebody. We've already seen that. We know they're capable of it. So what the purpose did that scene serve? I just don't get it.
Well, I think we learned that they might take orders from children because they leave it up to they defer to the child to decide whether she dies or not. They all look at the kid like, "What do we think we should do?" And the kid's like, "Yeah, cut her off."
Like, calm
Yeah,
down there,
it's
Georgie. There's no need to fucking kill people like this. Like, it's just wild decisions. So let's talk about this too.
yes.
So the
Well,
actual
before I don't
go
wanna
ahead.
interrupt you, not I don't wanna get away from that because I did hear this as well. People are saying that, apparently this scene was put in there so that Ellie has one last chance to, go back on her decision to go kill Abby. She's got, like, this one last decision-making time to go back on everything she's done. She can get back on the boat and she can head back to Seattle instead of going and getting after Abby. So that's what people are saying. That's what that whole scene is about. It's like this kind of natural, like Ellie, stop what you're doing. Revenge is bad bit. Um, which sure, if you want to take it that way, there is no visual communication from the story that hints that's what it's for. That scene does not communicate to the audience that that's what Ellie's decision means, you know, like she doesn't like hesitate to go after Abby again. She just goes right after Abby. There's no scene where she, looks over at Seattle and then looks at the Ferris wheel and it's like, should I go get revenge or not? She just goes right back to doing what she was doing before she got to the island. So I don't believe that's a good explanation as to why that scene's in the show, but that's what people have been saying.
Well, it's not even that. It's like, how many times do we have to be hammered over the head with this whole, oh, you should turn back thing? Because she talks to Jesse. She makes a conscientious decision. I'm going after Abby when she talks to Jesse. She gets to the aquarium. She could turn back then as well. She gets to where Owen and Mel are. She could turn back there as well. And then later on, obviously, once the deed is fucking done, she makes the decision to return home with Jesse and everybody else, and stop pursuing Abby. I don't understand why they're giving her so many situations, so many breadcrumbs along the way of, hey, revenge is bad. Like, we get it. Like, we get it. You don't have to keep hammering this home. Like, I would have been perfectly fine with, and I think it's the better setup where Jesse is talking, hey, we have to go get Tommy, and Ellie is saying, no, I want to go get Abby. That is the perfect way to set up making the decision to go and get revenge, because you're turning your back on essentially your uncle, right? That's your Joel was your father. That's your uncle. You're turning your
Yeah.
back on your uncle and going after Abby. That happens in the game. I think it was done perfectly. That's as solid and concrete of a decision as you need. Not some stupid island scene where Georgie from fucking It is, condemning you to death via disembowelment. I like what? No.
Yeah, I think like that's a huge hallmark issue with this season is Ellie's commitment to getting revenge is so hot and cold all the time. Like so right up until she makes that decision with Jesse, like just a few scenes before with Dina, she's hesitating. Dina says, "Well, Nora deserved it. She had what was coming to her." And Ellie's like, "Did she? I don't know. Like, I'm hesitating." And so if Ellie had been more consistent in her need for revenge the entire season, that build up to her abandoning Tommy would have felt a lot better. But because she's been so hit or miss with the whole revenge thing, it really just comes out of nowhere. And because of that, it's irritating. It's like, why wouldn't you go help Tommy if you've been so on the fence the entire time? Like, she seems completely unmotivated most of the time to go get revenge. Like, she's hopping around, she's having a good time with Dina, she's laughing. There's no impression that she's been severely affected by Joel's death. And so this like rash decision to go after Abby all of a sudden just comes off as really arrogant and mean spirited. It doesn't feel like a good progression of her character. I was like, go fucking help Tommy. If you're not if you're not on board with this revenge thing, go home, please. This sucks.
Right. And another thing that this season is lacking too is, and a follower of mine brought something up that I'll talk about here in just a second, is that the second game is very brutal. It is a M for mature game through and through. You know, the way that they kill Nora in the show, you know, it's just her hitting her legs a couple times and we hear the cries. Go and look at the scene from the game. She's beating the fuck out of her. There is not just, oh, 2 hits and let's cut to black. No. You get to like really feel this. So that kind of goes hand in hand with that whole revenge thing, right? Is that you've got, not only do you have the revenge, the anger, the hatred, but you've also got this sense of brutality. You're this unstoppable force. You're essentially Joel in Salt Lake City, just in a different environment. You get what I'm saying? So Ellie and Joel are very much the same. They're parallel to one another and how they approach the situation. And something that I noticed in this past episode that I brought up in my breakdown is that when you eventually get to the aquarium, you're actually attacked by Abby's dog, Alice, which is a German Shepherd. And the scene serves as a little bit of importance because not only is Ellie killing everything in her way from Scar to Wolf to the infected, but this is a dog. You know, people love dogs. The dog wasn't innocent. It came after her, but she stabs the dog multiple times in order to get the dog off of her. And it kind of serves again as a scene to just show that brutality. Nothing is getting in her way. And it was noticeably absent in the show. And it was noticeably absent enough that the showrunners had to say something about it. And you're going to laugh your ass off when I say this. This is just ludicrous. Craig Mazan, who was the co-writer, you know, the guy that deserves half of our hatred, said that they didn't kill the dog. And I quote, let me go back to my buddy's comment here. And I quote, because there is an unwritten rule about not killing dogs in Hollywood.
Wait, what?
Right. That's what I said too. And I'm sitting there looking at this and I'm like, okay, first and foremost, this is HBO. HBO has never pulled its punches when it comes down to brutality. Secondly, you're in a genre, horror. That's what Last of Us is. It is horror. Horror is notorious for killing family pets. It always, rest assured, if you're watching a slasher film and there's a dog, just kiss the dog goodbye.
Yeah, the dog's getting it. Well, I think what that perspective, and it definitely is very telling with how they're portraying Ellie in the show, because there's a genuine effort to make her a lot more innocent than she was in the games. Because I've said it before and in previous videos with you that I haven't played the second game, but I've watched a lot of the comparison cutscenes, and I know enough about it to understand Ellie's motivations in the game is a lot different than the show, because she, like you said, she's a lot more brutal, she's a lot more vengeful, she's a lot more angry. But in the show, they really want to play her off as a lot more innocent. She's constantly questioning herself. She's constantly doubting this revenge mission. She doesn't seem as into it. She seems a lot more jolly. And that comes through with this dog thing. It comes through with pretty much how she acts around every situation that the game Ellie does as well, where like just after this dog scene you're talking about, where she goes and kills Owen and the pregnant chick. In the game, it's obviously a lot more brutal. She literally stabs the pregnant girl, and then she also shoots Owen a lot more purposely. But in the show, it's like kind of completely Owen's stupidity that gets them all killed, because Ellie shoots Owen in defense because he tries to reach for a gun that's completely like out of reach, almost like it's a stupid move. And then the bullet goes through him, and she accidentally kills the pregnant girl. And it's like a lot more innocence involved. Like, it was like, essentially, you can always put the blame on the stupid guy in the situation, right? So
Well,
yeah, I think there is just a genuine effort to make Ellie seem a lot more likable in the game because or in the show because yeah, I think they probably took the backlash from the game Ellie where she was a lot more brutal and people didn't like her as much. So maybe they're trying to, rope that back a little bit so the audience can relate to her a little more, but it just gets muddled and it doesn't really make much sense considering what the story's about.
Yeah, it's just that scene with Owen and Mel. You're right. Like in the game or in the show, he goes to reach for his gun, which is close to the map, to the table off to the left. In the game, that's not what happens. He actually reaches for Ellie's gun because he's rather close to her, and she ends up shooting him in his chest as a result. Well, when Owen goes down, Mel actually comes at Ellie with a knife. They'd have a little tussle
Mhm.
back and forth, and Ellie actually ends up turning the knife on Mel and then, obviously stabbing her in the throat. And it's just, it goes back to what I was saying. This season of the show lacks the brutality. It lacks the raw, just hatred, that anger, like just revenge, no matter the cost. It doesn't matter what's in your fucking way. Wolf, scars, fucking regular ass people, roamers, infected, even a dog. That's why I thought the dog was important because everyone can get behind killing other people. Happens in horror films and war films, all kind of films, but anytime you kill a dog, everyone goes, oh. So it kind of served as
Yeah.
a purpose to, you know what I'm saying? Just to show how brutal everything was. And it seems like every step of the way, they're just essentially giving the viewer a pacifier and just babying them. We don't want that.
I agree. Yeah, I think yeah. I think they're trying to make Ellie seem a lot more innocent. I man, that whole scene too with her shooting Mel by accident was just brutally stupid. Like nobody acts like they would in that situation. You know what I mean? Like the first, let's say we're Mel and Owen, right? You're pregnant. We got a gun drawn on us, and the first thing we're both saying is, "Hey, she's pregnant. Don't shoot her." And like, please put your gun, lower your gun, or keep it on. Like Owen should have said, "Keep it on me. Don't shoot her. She's like safe." And clearly, Mel wasn't like interested in like hurting Joel. She didn't want to hurt Ellie. She seems a lot more innocent in the game as well than she did in the, or sorry, in the show than she did in the game because she doesn't just try to hurt Ellie at all. And like, but why wouldn't you say, hey, she's pregnant? They don't treat people like they would be treated in the apocalypse. Like pregnant women shouldn't even be on the front lines in the first place. But why is she here?
Oh, right. I was actually listening to the Critical Drinkers, video on it, and he talks about that extensively, and he's right. As someone who is a veteran myself and is very knowledgeable when it comes down to survival and just self-preservation, there would be no reason for women to be even outside what we call the wire, which is outside of the compound or outside of whatever station you're at, your home, whatever. There would be no need for women to be out there. Men would be taking all of the sacrifice. And that's just because naturally that's what we do. Women would be back. Obviously, they would be bearing the next generation. Obviously, population is dwindling. They'd be bearing the next generation, making sure the home front's taken care of, the kids, which is a very, very important task, while the men are out there trying to rebuild civilization and making sure everyone is protected. So the fact that
Are
Mel,
you wait, hold on. Are you telling me that the the future leaders of the apocalypse wouldn't be 50-year-old women? Are you saying that? That's you, sir, are very sexist.
I mean,
How could you say that?
I'm just going based off, what we're good at. I mean, in this particular, right? Like, let's take a look at what Jackson, right? Tommy obviously would be the leader of Jackson, but there would be no reason, just like in the modern day world, like take the president of the United States. If you don't think for 2 seconds the president doesn't have extensive conversations and consultations with the first lady, you're wrong. Men listen to their wives. That's what happens. So you would have Tommy, who's leading Jackson, but he would be getting a lot of advice, a lot of recommendations, a lot of consultation with Maria, his wife. That's how that would work. Instead of having 50-year-old women on the front line being generals, that wouldn't in no world would that. It doesn't happen in the real world now. Like, it just doesn't.
No,
It
I
doesn't
totally
make
get that.
sense from a
It
survival perspective. It doesn't make sense.
Well, no, that's the whole thing. The treatment of not only women but pregnant women. Like again, the the fact that the Mel is right on the front lines in the line of fire, and so is Dina. Like, why are there multiple? Like, why are they not treating this with more severity ever? The
Hmm.
only time that actually anyone shows any concern for the unborn children is when, in the beginning of this episode, Dina refuses to take a drink of whiskey from Jesse in order to dull the pain. He says like, "Drink this, you'll feel better." She's like, "No," and then he insists again. She's like, "I said no," and she's like, standing her ground. She's gonna protect her child. All this shit. Yet you're willing to walk into a war zone with zombies and, and like constantly in danger. She almost gets eaten twice. They've been shot at. She's literally had a crossbow bolt put through her body. Yet no, the whiskey, that's where we're gonna draw the line. We're not doing that. That's gonna hurt the baby.
Oh, that whole scene really pissed me off, and I went over this in my breakdown. It's like I said, I when I do these videos, a lot of people will just give opinion. They'll say like Bella Ramsey's acting is bad. Okay, that's borderline objective, but fine, it is subjective. Okay, got it. You can all have opinions on that. What is objective is what happens in the game and what doesn't happen in the show. There is no argument. You can't say, oh, that's just your opinion. No, no, no. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. So when Jesse and Dina actually link back up, which in the show she gets shot, in the game she does not, but there is a noticeable connection. There is chemistry there. Like her Jesse and Dina obviously have a lot of chemistry. They've been in a relationship for a very long time. They've broken up, but they do have a kid together, etc., etc. And what I thought was really funny that they kept out of the show was that there's a noticeable moment in the game, and I put this in my breakdown, where Ellie actually gets like jealous. She sees Jesse, Dina's tending to Jesse on the couch, like she's kind of dressing him up, making sure he's okay. He just came in from being out there, so she's checking on him. And Ellie is jealous of how Dina is talking to Jesse, to the point that she has to walk away from what she's seeing. And in the show, it's ass backwards. Actually, Jesse saves Dina's life, and then she proceeds to treat him like shit for the next couple of minutes. And it's like, hold up. Like, wait a minute here.
Well, that's toxic masculinity, man. That's the whole problem. He saved her. He's got to be immediately punished for that. I mean, like Jesse also fucking is the only character to really tell Ellie what's going on. Like, he says, "You put me in danger. I need to stay alive. I'm a father now." He lays down the rules, right? Immediately after, Ellie puts him in danger, and then bitches him out for being a pussy. Essentially, like it's not fair to the men in any sense. And essentially, if a man's in a scene, he's either dumb, incompetent, weak, or any other negative stereotype you could associate with anyone. Right? It's just terrible all around. They're just stupid. And yeah, so I think that's just an extension of that, having Jesse be the essentially cuck in the situation and being okay with it. Yeah, it's just very natural. I actually called that out in my episode 5 review because I said, like Jesse's probably gonna give Ellie a pat on the back for this whole thing, and he essentially does. Like he has a nice moment with her. He tells her that he understands all this shit, even after the constant stupid make decisions she makes. She constantly puts him in danger. She makes bad decisions. She puts not only Dina in danger, but his unborn child. And there's no word of reproach for any of these things. He barely gives her a talking to with the whole, like, I need to stay alive thing. He never really says, fuck you, you're a piece of shit. Like, you almost got all of us killed kind of thing. Like, where's the really, like, he never lays into her when he really needs to. He gives her a little pep talk, but it's obviously not enough, and they would never let a man do that to a woman in this show.
Well, and a thing that really pissed me off too was, in the game, Jesse's actually a really good guy. Like he's kind of like your natural born leader type, right? Like he's not egotistical. Like, well, I guess he is. He's egotistical, but like in a tough love friendly kind of way, right? Like he knows that he's going to be a leader. He's very confident in himself, and that comes out through his actions and through his words. I would say he's like narcissistic or an asshole or anything like that. He's just kind of like he's just a little arrogant, and that comes with being a leader. You have to be that A-type personality. And in the show, they're sitting there talking, and Jesse is telling Ellie, about the kind of love that he has for Dina and how it's different. And he said, we had this woman that came through with these these traveling merchants, and they were there for 2 weeks, and he actually loved this woman, right? Like he had a good 2 weeks with this woman. He loved her in the way that I guess Ellie loves Dina. And I was like, okay, this is really good. Okay, I see where he's going here. But then he goes and he talks about how, I put myself aside. I put my feelings aside. I put my emotions and everything I wanted aside because Jackson needs me. The people are important. My community is important. They need me. Tommy can't do this forever. Neither can Maria. Someone young has to eventually step in to lead. And I'm like, man, this is great right here. Like I'm enjoying the shit out of this. This guy's stepping up. You know what I'm saying? Like he's being a man. He's saying, look, I don't give a fuck about any of this other shit. I care about my people. I have to protect my people. And then what does Ellie?
Care about the community?
Then what? No. What? Right after that, 2 seconds later, Ellie says, "What are you, Saint Jesse?" I'm like, you God, yeah. Motherfucker! Like you ruined this whole monologue with this crap.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I just don't get it. Like and I said that in the breakdown. I'm like, why are they making her such an insufferable asshole? Like, why would you take this awesome little monologue here? Because of course they're in a store and Jesse's pouring out his feelings and she's looking at fucking baby books. Of course, why not? And I'm just like, this is a really good moment here where Jesse, who is the next in line to be a leader, kind of sharing that leadership advice with Ellie and saying like, look, here's how you should, you should care about people. You should care about community. You should care about what you're doing. It should come through your actions, through your voice, everything, what it means to be a leader. And the only thing this motherfucker can say back to him is, oh, I guess you're Saint Jesse now. Like, come on.
Well, all she can have is contempt. That's her default. Her default mode is contempt for anyone who tries to tell her anything, especially if it's a man. If they try to show her, if it's not Dina, and they're showing her something, she hates them. Like there's not any kind of respect or humbleness about her character. She's constantly putting people down who try to give her advice. She's constantly ignoring them. She's constantly rolling her eyes. We saw that in the last episode with Joel, with he's trying to show her the ropes of being a patrolman. Mm-hmm. And she just could not give a single fuck, even though this is what she's been wanting for years, by the way. She's been asking him to take me on patrol. I want to learn the ropes, all this shit. And as soon as he does it, she's just like, fuck you. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a shit. Don't she's fucking around with binoculars. She doesn't care about a word he says. And it really applies here with the situation talking about Jesse. It's just the same kind of mentality where she just has no respect for anyone. And it makes her such an unlikable person. I don't really care about what she wants. I don't really support her as a person because she's not enjoyable to be around. I wouldn't want to meet her in real life. Like I wouldn't want to be her friend. Yeah. And not saying that you need to have that feeling for every protagonist, but there has to be some level of likability, right? Like we need to understand them on a deeper level. Like there's plenty of characters out there that are assholes but we know deep down that they have a heart of gold, right? Like you can think of like the Han Solo type, right? Where he's a dick, he's mean to everybody, but deep down he's a really good guy. And that shines through with his actions, it shines through with how he helps people. He's got good friends, he's reliable. She is none of these things. She's constantly going against everything that anyone would consider to be like a good person. She's mean, she's stupid, she makes bad decisions, she puts people in danger that she cares about, she's selfish. Like there's nothing positive I can think of when it comes to the character of Ellie in the show.
Well, just to break it down, like you said all that, I'll break it down in one sentence. And this goes for any film, any protagonist, any genre. You want to be able to root for the protagonist, right? You want to be able to root for them to win. Whatever mission that they're on, it doesn't matter. You just want to be able to root for them, right? If the person I'm seeing on the screen the most, I want a reason to say, you know what? I want that person to get what they want. And I've got about 600 comments across fucking, eight episode breakdowns where I've got people talking about, they should just kill her. Like if they axe her, I'm just not even going to care. Like, can we just make Dina the? It's like, how do you fumble that bag that bad?
The only redeeming thing I can think of going forward in the next season is that they're going to focus on Abby, right? They've talked about that. That was suggested in the finale
Yep.
that she's going to be the main character the next season. That's a huge risk usually when it comes to storytelling, right? To abandon the main character for another protagonist. Like that's always going to be, there's going to be a power vacuum in that
Mm-hmm.
situation, and there's always a worry about what the audience is going to like. Are they going to like take to the new character? You saw that with Red Dead Redemption, obviously with John
Yep.
Marston. Like when Red Dead 2 came out, everyone hated the idea that you weren't going to be John Marston until we played the game, and then, obviously Red Dead 2 is amazing. Everyone loves that game more than Red Dead 1. And I I think you might see something similar with The Last of Us Season 3 because Ellie is so unlikable
Oh, brother,
that we're just
there ain't
all
gonna be no
kind of
might.
hoping.
There ain't gonna be no like. Let me allow me to just do something anecdotal. This is not everyone's feelings. This isn't my my side of the argument's feelings. These are my feelings. Okay. I've played the second game once. We've gone through this ad nauseum. I played through the first game 10 times. I played through the second game once. I didn't like it. I hated Abby. I mean, I hated Abby. She killed my favorite video game character of all time. I hate her. Now, I'm really looking forward to season 3.
Yeah.
Caitlin Dever is, the amount of screen time that she's had in the second season, which is like maybe 5-6 minutes most. She's shown more charisma, more likability, more screen presence than Bella Ramsey did the entire season. And I'm actually looking forward to see, like, I can hate a character. That's fine. I don't mind hating a character. I don't have to like what I'm seeing on screen. But as long as the acting is great, the charisma is there, the presence is there, I can watch a commanding performance. I don't even have to like the person, but I'll watch a commanding performance, and I'm looking forward to season 3.
Yeah, well, with like it reinforced with obviously I've really beat the drum that Ellie's just a terrible person and we shouldn't like her and support her in any way. She's done that alone in her actions and all that stuff. But this show's also reinforced the fact that Joel is just a scumbag and his decision to kill the Fireflies was immoral on every level, right? Like that's been expressed, right? He himself seems very upset about the decision he made, and cries about it all the time and is very passive when it comes to Ellie because of it and all this shit. And the show really tries to bring it home that he made the wrong choice. I think Abby is totally forgiven in my eyes. Yeah, fucking kill Joel. He seems weak. He's not, Pedro Pascal does a good job, but like Joel himself doesn't seem like a very good person anymore. They've convinced me, with Ellie as the main character and Joel as the scumbag. Yeah, go for it. Replace with anybody. I would love to see someone else take up the reins of the main character. Just don't make it Abby or don't make it Ellie. I'd love to see Abby.
Good God. Well, something that aggravated me about last episode, the Joel episode, is that they've taken every step this season to turn Joel into a liar. Okay, in the game, it was
Yeah.
framed in a way that yes, Joel did lie, but he lied for admirable reasons. He lied out of love. He loved out of or he lied out of passion. Whereas in the show, they just treat him like he's just a filthy liar that just took away, Ellie's autonomy and took away her decision
Oh,
and her choices. And then
yeah.
they double down on that in episode 6 with Eugene, which by the way doesn't happen in the game in the slightest. Doesn't happen. The Eugene segment, all that, like 10 minutes, doesn't happen in the game. But what I thought was funny was that he lies to Ellie about not wanting to kill Eugene and kills Eugene, right? So he lies twice. He lies about the Fireflies. He lies about killing Eugene. But when Ellie shows up and questions him as to, like, why did you kill Eugene that way? He magically doesn't lie there. He could have just said something
True.
like, "Oh, he started turning and I shot him." But
Yeah.
that would be convenient for the plot, though. Joel only lies when the narrative needs him to.
No, yeah, he could. Yeah, like, yeah, exactly. I thought the same thing. I didn't put in my own review, but yeah, true. He could have just made something up again. I mean, I think it's implied that she wouldn't believe him at this point, but like, whatever. Like, she wasn't there. He could have very well started turning, and he kind of started talking about how the cordyceps feel and shit, which like if you're trying to convince somebody not to kill you because you have an infection, don't talk about how you're feeling about it. Like, don't bring up your symptoms, man. Yeah, I think Joel had every opportunity there to be like, yeah, he started to turn, so we went over here. He accepted his fate, and I shot him. I'm sorry, but yeah, and she fucking put him in that situation too. That bothered me so much. Like, again, this is her first time on patrol. She's been asking for years to be taken on patrol. She wants to learn the ropes. She completely disrespects him every time. Like Joel, she completely disrespects Joel every time he tries to show her something. And then when it actually comes down to the rules of their community, her first instinct is to break them. When again, you're like, she's in the learning stages of this position. She should be doing everything that Joel tells her. And I get the
Hmm.
idea of resisting it and stuff, but it should be like, hey, we're gonna shoot him because that's what this job is. Like,
Yep.
this is part of the job. You go out on patrol, you're risking your life. You can't bring the fucking zombie virus back to our community. This thing fucking wiped out all of humanity almost. Like, we're not gonna do it again. Especially just so he can say goodbye to his wife. Like, you have radios, right? Like, why didn't he radio back to Jackson? Surely they have communication.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a number of things they could have done there, but they just
Yeah.
chose not to. And
Yeah.
like I said, it was all crafted for the show because Eugene dies of natural causes in the game. Catherine O'Hara's character, the
Mhm.
therapist, not a real character. So this was all crafted for the show. And it's like, why? I understand like deviating and maybe adding a few things, subtracting some stuff, but that's kind of a big fucking moment there because not only do you catch Joel lying again conveniently, he doesn't lie about why he killed Eugene, whatever, but then you go back to the community in front of his brother and Catherine O'Hara and you berate him in front of them. And Joel, once again, stands there like a child and doesn't defend
Yeah.
himself. And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that really I mean, I think that blew a lot of people's minds on how fucking ridiculous. Like, she just comes across as so ungrateful and again, so unlikable. Like, why you can't trust you, obviously you can't trust her anymore, but like, like, Tommy's the leader of the community. All Ellie has demonstrated is a complete lack of responsibility when it comes to this position. Why is Ellie still on patrol? Why would you ever give her that responsibility? She
Mm-hmm.
broke the rules. And then she caused disharmony in your community for no reason. I'm sure that's not the first time somebody's come back, dead, and their partner said, well, he died really bravely. He said goodbye. He says he loves you. It's like a tale as old as time. You're just going to comfort the person that's mourning the loss of their loved one, and you're
Right.
going to tell them something that's not entirely true, but not untrue in the way of, like, he did love you and he was kind of brave about it, and I might be kind of, making you feel a little bit better about how it well went down, but ultimately the same result happened. It's not like this is like like, I don't know, it's morally debatable. Like, lying's not good, obviously, like that, but yeah, it just really turned the audience against Ellie again. Like, really fucking, they just keep hammering it home. She's just a piece of shit. Like, from that moment on, like, I think she's unredeemable. Like, she cannot come back in my mind. Like, that scene, you swore, like, that will be etched in my memory forever. Every time I look at her, I'm just gonna think of how cringe that was. Yeah,
Yeah, and the
it's
thing
brutal.
is that episode was especially as a gamer, myself, that episode was actually really good to start off. Like the first 15, 20 minutes, like, and I even told my girl this, like when they're sitting there doing the birthday cake scene, and yeah, it was kind of cringe. She ate it like a fucking, like an ape, whatever. But I'm sitting here and I'm watching this and I'm going, for the first time in 2 seasons, Bella is acting like Ellie. This is Ellie. Even her voice, her mannerisms. I said I was actually really impressed. I told my girl this too. I'm like, this is it. I'm like, she's finally fucking done it. This is Ellie. And then it goes to shit with the next birthday when, Joel catches her with a woman and all this other garbage happens. And I'm like, God damn it, you guys had it. You had it for 15 minutes. You were there. It was within your grasp, and then you just shit the bed.
Yeah, no, for real. I can understand why, I can understand why you and so many other people liked the first half of that episode, but to me, it was so obvious. emotional baiting that it was like the cringe hammer was coming down at some point, and you knew it was coming. Like I didn't have any spoilers for the episode. Obviously, their relationship deteriorates, but I knew it was going to be because Ellie was going to be a scumbag. I knew there was going to be some speech that she gives Joel that totally ruins her character, and it did happen. I wasn't expecting it to be Eugene or whatever. I thought it was all going to be about the fireflies. But the whole scene with Catherine O'Hara is brutal. Yeah, they really just
Well, I mean,
flushed it.
it's we love that first 15 minutes, and I love what you said there. The guys like myself, or and you knew it was coming, and I think that's kind of like, I think that's the position that the series has put us in, is that we're so hungry to see the characters that we've poured hundreds of hours into in a game that I'm willing to take the 15 minutes that they gave me. I was willing to give a little bit of hope and go, "Oh, please, this is it. God, they got it." You know what I'm saying? Like that may be out of like stupidity or whatever may have you, but the game, the player base is just so hungry to see these, semi perfect personifications of the characters we know and love, that we'll take that 15 minutes. We'll take it. I'll take what I can get. Yes, was it cringy? But I'll take it. It was as close to the game as you can get.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's stupidity. I mean, like, there is that innate feeling of like you want to like things, Like, I don't, I get a lot of criticism for being a hater, and I am. I thoroughly like to rip things apart. I'm a total asshole when it comes to analyzing film. I'm nitpicky. I'm all the things. I'm the worst person to go to a movie with, right? But but there is that feeling of I do want to enjoy this. I don't want to hate it, and I will try to give it as much forgiveness as I can. And I felt that way about the Fallout show when I watched it the first time. Like I kind of walked away saying, and like yeah, like I got kind of caught up in the hype, and I didn't want to hate it. But then on a review and watching it a second time, you're like, fuck, this sucks. But there's that feeling like, and I especially get it because you have this resonance with the game a lot more than I do. Because again, I didn't even play the second game. Um, but yeah, you want to enjoy it. You want them to get it right, but they just refuse to. They really, it's Neil Drunkman's fucking. I call him Neil Drunkman, but I do it so often now I just do it naturally.
Right, right.
um, yeah, you really want to. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Yeah, he's really just caught himself in this bad circular issue of he made something horrible that nobody liked, and now he's got a chance to make it again, but because of pride, he can't go back on it. He's got to follow through with what he did, but even make it worse. Like all the things that, in the second game that people complained about, he's just like turned it up to 11. And it's just fucking awful to watch.
Yeah, my community, we have a very firm theory that they made the show especially terrible so that Neil could come out and go, "See, the game's not that bad, is it?"
it's, it's an inside job.
I believe it at this fucking point. So how about this? So the actual finale itself, the ending of it. As someone that I know you said you're well versed in the game, but you haven't necessarily played it. Do you think they left it off at a good point? I know you and I were talking, in the background about what you thought was going to happen, what I thought, was supposed to happen. Like, did you like how they left it off?
They left it exactly at the point I thought they would. I thought it was going to end with Jesse's death. I think I messaged you that.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, so I thought like that's the cliffhanger ending they're going for, especially with how like the story was progressing. I mean, it's just so. I mean, it's just what the second game did, right? Because the second game, it cuts at that point, and then they reverse back to Abby. I guess it's a natural stopping point with that in mind.
It's
But
not
again,
though.
I just hate it's not.
That's
Well, I mean,
that's
because
actually not what the game does. That's what I was going to bring up. It's not what the
oh,
game.
sorry.
Yeah,
Okay, my bad.
it's not what the game does. So there will be, for people that are listening, there's about to be spoilers of the second game in 3, 2, and 1. So actually, right after this sequence, which it does play out very similarly, Jesse comes through the door, he gets shot, and then Ellie is sitting there. Oh no, whatever, don't shoot me. And Tommy actually reaches for Abby's gun, and so the
Yeah.
show cuts it to black, right when the gunshot goes off. That gunshot's meant for Tommy. It's going to damage his
Right.
eye. It's going to damage his eye. But when the game swaps tonally about 5 to 6 minutes after that, because Ellie gets
Yeah.
away, Abby chases her, and there's like this sneaking portion of the game where you're having to sneak up on Ellie as Abby and attacking her, right? And Abby eventually just beats the shit out of Ellie. Like, we're talking bloody nose, fucking bruises, like beats the fuck out of her. And Dina comes out of nowhere and saves Ellie, but ends up getting caught. Abby has her in a chokehold and has a knife to her throat, getting ready to kill her when Ellie confesses, hey, look, Dina, she's pregnant. And Lev, which, oh God, I'll get into Lev here in a second, is the character that comes off from the side and tells Abby, look, you don't want to do this. So Abby lets Dina go, and then Abby leaves. That's when you take over as Abby, like, completely. I thought that's what they were going to do. I thought we were going to get an ending where it's essentially Dina and Ellie just laying in this warehouse, beat the fuck up, and then it cuts to black, because that would have been the perfect ending of it, because it is the tone shift of the game. They didn't do that. They did this stupid cliffhanger crap with this fucking gunshot. All the gamers know who it's going to. So it's like, why would you do this?
Yeah, I think it's for it. Well, like you said, it's for that cliffhanger ending. It's that cheap trick, they want to bait they want so heavily to bait the audience into watching season 3. They probably know that they're losing it, or that they would be losing it at this point. That they need to really ramp up that what's going to happen next. Are they going to shoot at Ellie? And so I think I didn't like it. I mean, I didn't like any part of the finale, so I'm a bad person to ask it for this. Because I think it was all wrong from the get go to the ending. Uh, yeah, it's I'm I think they should have just done it like a normal fucking TV show and not done this cut back to Abby next season. They should have just been telling the story from both perspectives the entire time, right? Like every like Game of Thrones, or like a big TV show with multiple characters, or really just any TV show where it cuts back from A story to B story, and then they have a C plot, in there sometimes, and you can just jump back and forth from scene to scene. And that would just kind of naturally build the intensity of every moment, because you would know where Ellie is, where Abby is, how close they are. They're almost meeting, but now they're gonna have it so all these scenes with the wolves in it this season, you're gonna get Abby's perspective. So you're gonna be like, oh my god, Ellie was so close to seeing Abby right there. She was in the background. They actually shot at each other. Did you know that? Like, that's the shit they're gonna go for. Um, and I just don't think that's a good winning strategy. We should have been watching both characters progress through the entire season, and don't make it 7 episodes. Make it like fucking 12.
Yeah, when do we go to
And
7? Why
then
not 12?
yeah, yeah, it doesn't really
Two
make any
fucking
sense. If
years.
and
2 fucking years. You give me 7
yeah.
episodes? Come on, man.
But then we're gonna wait for 2 years, and we're gonna get the second half of a story that, we're gonna kind of forget. We're gonna forget all these moments that are been left hanging. Like, there's so many clear instances of this happening where with Tommy, for example, right? Like, they hear on the radio Tommy's shooting at some people. We don't know why he's shooting at them. We don't know where he is and how he got into that situation, and we don't see it resolved. Obviously, that's going to happen from Abby's perspective next season, or one of her friends or something, and they're going to come into contact with Tommy, and Tommy's going to be shooting at them. You're going to see Jesse come in. You're going to see how it's resolved, and then we're going to, get to see how Abby got to the theater and all that shit. They should have just been showing it all at once, and I don't know why they're trying to stick so like to the game in that regard, right? Because you're not playing as these characters. It's a different medium. Like, you can't play a show exactly like it is in the video game. You can have the same story beats play out. You don't need to do this flash forward, flash back, day 1, day 2, day 3 bullshit. I don't know.
Well, I'm going to have to disagree. I see where you're coming from, but I'm going to have to disagree because, and not for the reason of like, oh no, you're just wrong. It's the way the game is formulated. It would not work. Just having both of these sequence of events happening at the same time, just because of how the way the game is created. The reason why we play as Abby is so we get that character expansion, that emotionality, just to kind of see the path that she's on, where she's coming from, who she is as a person. That would be, I mean, if we went to 12 episodes in the second season, I could see us doing what you're talking about now. But if we're just
Yeah.
with 7, no, it would be, oh God, nobody would get any development at all. We get nowhere because there's just so much that's packed into those portions of the game. Like, yeah, I mean, technically, you end up knowing Abby a little bit more than you do Ellie by the end of the second game. So, yeah, it would be very off putting. If we went to 12, I agree with you. But as it stands, since we only have 7, the only way you can make this work is by splitting the seasons, just because there's so much shit to put in there.
I understand that, but I think that was an option that they could have gone with. Like, there's no way with the amount of money they're putting into it, like HBO would have agreed to more episodes, I'm sure. It wasn't like Neil Druckmann was forced into the situation where they're like, you can only have 7. I think he even chose that himself. I can't that's not verbatim. I think he might have said that in an interview I read recently where he's like, I decided to go with 7 and not like more episodes. But yeah, I think they should have extended the season and then just told it like a normal TV show. And you probably could have ended the entire thing with, uh, you know, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, I don't know. But now they're extending it to 4 because they're doing this weird split
I
thing.
fucking swear to God.
And yeah,
I can't do I
I
can't do
really
4
don't think it's gonna
seasons.
pay off.
My blood pressure can't do
So
4
yeah,
seasons.
I don't think they're gonna make it to 4. I'd be really surprised if they have the audience numbers to make it to that level because it's already being horribly reviewed. I think the only 2 episodes that got above an 8 um, point rating were the ones with Joel in it, of course.
Imagine that.
And I don't know if you read this, but they've actually teased another Joel flashback episode for next season.
Oh dear God. Well, next season, like I was just talking about this character too. So it's just God. So when Abby is getting ready to kill Dina in that sequence there, what should have happened at the end of the show, but happens in the game. There's a character by the name of Lev that is a bowman, and one of Abby's really good friends, and I guess subordinates. And this is going to be so bad because in the game it was already painstaking enough. Lev is trans, and I can
Right. I've heard
only
of this, yeah.
the mind can fathom how bad they're gonna beat us over the fucking head with that if Lev is in season 3. Oh God. Look, and I don't care about that. Like, you be who you I'm a libertarian. I have been since I've been at voting age. You do you. I don't give a shit, man. Just leave me the fuck alone. Okay, cool, got it. If you want to be trans, be trans. I don't give a shit. Cool. Go be that over there. But what I don't want to sit here and listen to is this, borderline propaganda. And we've already gotten enough of that in season 2 where they just beat us over the fucking head with the fact that Ellie's gay and having sex in the middle of, war zones surrounded by fungal people and talking about baby names. And of course, the single most cringe line in television history, I'm going to be a
I'm gonna
dad.
be
God. And I'm just like, oh God. And then I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, where do they go with season 3? And I'm like, shit, there's a trans character in Abby's storyline. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, the political messaging that's in this show was outdated back in 2020, you know? Like
Right.
this is like we're so past the point of being bullied into this kind of stupid political lecturing that's considered TV nowadays, but yeah, we're so far beyond it as a I think as a society. Like
Right.
these shows and movies have proven not to do well. Nobody wants it. We don't want to hear about your fucking politics in our zombie show, right? When it's not even relevant. Of course, I also heard that the whole wolves and scars thing was a Israel Palestine analogy,
Oh dear
which
God.
fucking made me want to blow my head off. Like like, Jesus Christ, like, just write a fucking TV show, man, like, don't worry about the politics so much, they don't fit into into this world, right? You wouldn't have 50-year-old women leading survival groups, you wouldn't have trans people, I'm sorry to say, but that shit goes out the window pretty quickly when the world falls apart. How does it even work,
Well, and
right?
like, and here's the thing too. Like, I'm pretty open to, like, what's the word that everyone throws around nowadays? Representation. I understand that those things are important. That's okay. All right, whatever. As long as it doesn't become the point, right? Like, so I think The Walking Dead did it perfectly, right? Like The Walking Dead, you have plenty of relationships that are going on. There's a lesbian that's in there. I can't remember her name, um, but the one I remember most
Yeah,
is
I remember, yeah.
is Aaron, which is
Mhm.
played by Ross Marquand, and he's part of that Alexandria group, and he's gay. He has a husband and everything. And there's actually a really good episode in there where he loses his husband. But at no point in time did I ever feel like The Walking Dead was pushing any of that on me. They were like, look, we're in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. There are people trying to kill people, and there are zombies trying to kill people. But also, there's a gay guy in there too. Whereas The Last of Us, it's, oh, gay, gay, lesbian, gay, gay. Also, there's fungus people. And it's like, what? No, like, this is not what I want.
Yeah, I'm totally on board with you there. Like everyone really came down on the second game for having Ellie be gay, right? There's that famous quote. I think the Critical Drinker started where, "Oh, Ellie's gay, by the
Gay,
way,"
but
and a lot of people, Ellie, a lot of people have taken and run with it. I don't care that she's gay. That doesn't bother me. Like you said, representation doesn't bother me unless it becomes the point of the story. And it's clear that that is the point of the story, right? Men are dumb, women are great. Like it's going to be consistently bad throughout the rest of the show, and they're not going to hold up. They're going to keep pressing that pedal down until the show runs out of money and they stop getting funding and it goes into the garbage, like The Last of Us Part Three did.
good night.
um,
It's kind of funny too
yeah.
that in the second season of the show, and I listened to your video. You said that you're going to get called like a fanatic right winger or something like that.
Oh my
But you're
god,
right
liking
that
stuff.
Seth actually has quite a bit of character development. He says some very mean, nasty things that didn't. And I don't care which side of the aisle you're on. Okay, I don't give a fuck. What he said at the dance, that was completely. Even if you don't like gay people, that was misplaced. Why would you do that? That's stupid. But then he comes full
Yeah,
circle and, helps Ellie out, gives her, his gun, makes sure she's got supplies and food and all that. He had more character development than she did.
I absolutely agree. Absolutely, yeah.
So at the end of
Like,
the day, and
yeah.
this is as somebody who has been on the front lines in a combat altercation, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're gay. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, brown. It doesn't matter if you're a guy, if you're a girl. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. All that matters is survival. So when it comes down to these post apocalyptic things like this, nobody's going to give a shit about any of it. Nobody's going to give a shit if you're gay. Nobody's going to give a shit if you're black. Nobody's going to give a shit. And I just hate how they hammer, us over the head with that stuff that, like, being gay is this, this higher standard thing, and it's such a lovely story. Nobody cares. Be gay, man. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, well, like you said, I like how you sorry, I like how he had some character development. Like he said some mean things, and I agree that it was not a very nice thing to say. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say the word because we would have to bleep it out. But he calls
Yeah.
them a slur. He calls them a slur, and it was mean and misplaced, and he got what he deserved for it. He got pushed over, right? And then Ellie should have just forgiven him. The fact that, she's still holding this over his head like he's a piece of shit forever, even though he's the only one helping them, he's the only one supporting them. It doesn't make any sense. Like he gives them a better rifle, he gets them, out of Jackson. He's voted for like he gave a whole speech on going after the people who killed Joel, right? Like he's an
Mm-hmm.
ally.
Mm-hmm.
So just and to make Ellie more likable, have her forgive him. Show that she's the bigger person, right? That's what fucking protagonists and heroes are. They're the bigger person. They don't lower themselves to this petty drama where they can't let shit go and stuff like that. I just fucking it makes her just so unlikable, and it makes him so much more likable. And yeah, and some guy actually did call me a bigot for liking for liking Seth as a character, but he's just actually like he comes across as an actual human being. Like he's an old man, right?
Right.
Like old people think differently than young people. They
Yeah,
have
and
different beliefs.
the fact that the script, him as a character, to show that he grew. I mean, what would the audience, or that particular small minority subset of the audience, what would you prefer for them to do? Him just continue to be a bigot the rest of the show? I thought it was really good. It came off kind of a little preachy, a little virtue signaling. Okay, that's fine, whatever. But I'm like, look, this guy said something that was out of pocket. He got smoke checked for it, and then he's like, you know what? Okay, maybe I fucked up. Here's some sandwiches. And then he hooks her up. And I'm like, hey, that is as simple as character development as you can get. The guy literally says, I'm sorry, moves on to be her friend, tries to help her. Can't do it. Can't treat him like a good person. Ellie just treats him like shit. And it's like, okay, then just, you know what? Let's just go back to hating gay people again. Why not? The result's the same.
Again, like she has every opportunity to be a bigger person, to be better than the people that she thinks are rude people. Like she has that opportunity to show that she can forgive, she can forget all that stuff when it comes to the people in her community. But no, she's got to be a dick. And actually, just not to change the topic too much, but talking about Seth, there is a literal Chekhov's gun that he gives Ellie in this show. He gives her a rifle. They make a whole thing about how the rifle he gives her is better than the one she has,
Mm-hmm.
and she never uses it. She never uses the gun that he gives her. She never fires that rifle. You barely see it. She rides around with it on the horse for a few episodes, but she's constantly missing it for the rest of the show.
And I'm going to use this as a segue because my community demanded it. A good friend of mine actually commented on my post about it and said that you guys have to talk about the horses. Where the fuck did the horses go?
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up.
like you're like, well, hold up, like you're out of line, but you're right. Like, where did the fucking horses go?
Yeah, well, she stores Shimmer in that music shop or whatever, and that was 2 days ago. Who's feeding it?
Well, there was
Like,
I'm trying to give me a second. I'm trying to find a comment that someone was talking about that I guess they're one of my followers of my channel, I guess, is, I can't remember I'm kind of stupid at this, equestrian, I believe is the word, is really big into horses and horse care and all that. And they were talking about how stupid it was that they just literally led that horse into the record shop with all that shit, attached to it. And that horses are notorious, like even when they're just out in the pasture, they'll get themselves caught on fences, they'll fall over, they like really hurt themselves. And they just thought it was really ridiculous how this horse was just walking around this record shop with all the shit on it. And it's like, I don't know if I get that nitpicky, but
I mean, that's a fair point. I think they even leave it in the shop with the saddle on it. Like, why would you do that? That's just unnecessary weight it's carrying on it for days. Like, you can just take the saddle off and have it tied up still. You don't need to you don't need to have the horse sitting there with the fucking bags and shit. Like, yeah, I remember they didn't do anything except close the door on the fucking
yeah, it's
horse.
just some
There,
weird, I'm trying to see if I can find that comment. This dude got like in depth on it. And I'm like, holy shit, man. Like you're teaching me some things here.
Yeah, well, I mean, those things are nitpicky, but the problem, and so I want to address nitpickiness for a second because I get this all the fucking time, and I am nitpicky. I'm not gonna deny it. I love to go in depth and complain about every little thing, but the problem with nitpicking or calling it out, if you could say that, is that nitpicking's not wrong. If you're nitpicking something, you're still like you're not saying, "Oh, you're wrong for saying that." You're just saying that it's something that you should be able to ignore. And that's, obviously pretty subjective. But the problem with nitpicking this kind of show is that these nitpicks fucking build up. There's like 1,000 of them. It's not like
Right.
there's like this one issue where they leave the horse in the shed and they have all the stuff on it and there's no other problems except that. Like that's like fine. I'm not gonna nitpick every movie, TV show out there that's like brilliant and has that one issue. You could do that, but if the show like The Last of Us has so many problems, these things add up and
Mm-hmm.
they become like glaring holes because it shows an overall lack of knowledge. It shows an overall laziness with the storytelling because they're not thinking all these things through. They're not acting. The characters aren't acting like they're in the apocalypse. They're acting like this is the end of the scene and we're all gonna take our shit off and go back into our trailers. Like that's
Y'all
it
want to y'all
ruins
want to
the
hit
immersion
Applebee's
of the
in a
world.
bit? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it ruins the immersion. It doesn't feel like these people are in the apocalypse. It feels like a fucking TV show set, and these are young actors who don't know what the fuck they're doing, and they look like it.
Yeah, see, I'm not. I am nitpicky in a way, but when I do videos, I try to stray from that because I've gotten so many comments of people talking about, oh, well, if you want a one to one adaptation, like just go play the game. Like we're here to see a different side of the story. We're here to see, and like, look, for the folks that are listening, I don't think Offended nor I are expecting a mirror image of the game to the show. I don't think anybody, actually, that expectation is ridiculous. That's not going to happen because they're two different mediums. Games are done differently than shows are. But when you're missing the core message, when you're missing the core tone, when you're missing the core characterizations, that's when it becomes a problem. You have the second game, which is mostly about revenge, anger, adrenaline, hatred, just loathing, just that, like, again, that force of nature. That's what that second game is about. You take that away and then put in crazy lesbian stories, cracking jokes, talking about baby names and all that. Yeah, fuck yeah, we're gonna have an issue with that. You took away the core message of what the show is supposed to be about.
Yeah, they've eroded the foundation of the story, and then it all becomes fair game, right? Then the nitpicks come out, all these things, because they're not selling us on what the show, like you said, it should be about. And then you start to think about like, what the fuck is this about? And then you start like,
Right.
why are they walking down the middle of the street in this hostile territory? Why do they look like they just got out of the trailer? Why does Dina have a blowout all the time? She looks like she just fanned her hair. Why are their clothes so clean? Why is there no dirt on them? Why are they not putting their horses in places with taking their fucking saddles off? Like it just starts to eat away at you because that core message, like you said, is not there. It doesn't feel like a genuinely good story anymore, and so you start to nitpick, right?
Yeah, and I mean that's why all of us have been harping on Bella Ramsey, and I know that that's gotten tiresome. You go to any fucking negative review or negative outlook on the show, any video, and Bella Ramsey's going to be at the top of the list. And it's like, look, we're not hating on her just to hate on her. You have to understand, again, the character that she's playing in the game is polar opposite in the show. And I'm not saying that like, oh, you're exaggerating. No, polar opposite. She borderline forgets. I won't say she forgets, but the whole revenge thing goes off to the side. Right. We don't hear really a whole lot about revenge or getting to Abby or killing people or any of that until episode what? 4 or 5? 5. Episode 5. When Dina's talking to her as they're walking through this town, Dina has to remind her about her
Uh,
revenge against Joel's killer. And it's like, what in the fuck are you doing?
yeah, and then like she's just reluctantly like, yeah, let's keep going. And it's like, why aren't you more like, fuck yeah, let's keep going. I don't need a pep talk. I'm down. Let's go fucking kill these people.
And
But
and the,
no,
th-
she
and the
doesn't
thing
have.
is, it's such a disservice too because Bella Ramsey cannot play the nice side of Ellie. She can't play the charming side of Ellie. She can't play the likable part. That's just not in her emotional range. That's fine. What she's always been good at is being a dickhead. And guess what?
Yeah.
Guess what plays into that when Ellie is being vengeful, when she's being angry and loathing and fueled by all this hatred. Being a dick plays into that. So it's like they literally took what Bella is good at, which is just this angry, immature-ish dickhead side of Ellie. That's what she's good at. They took it away and were like, hey, why don't you just be everything you're not supposed to be? Like, it didn't, maybe I'm talking in circles here. It just didn't make sense on any level. Her one strength that she had, and you took it away, and by taking it away, it made the character the polar opposite of what she is in the game. It's just very weird choices.
Yeah, well, I think it just shows how much of a mess it is, right? Like you have a protagonist that nobody likes. You have a world that doesn't feel earnest. It doesn't feel like it's a real apocalypse because the characters and the actors don't look like in the apocalypse. And then you have people not making decisions that make any sense. You have factions that aren't explained, like it just all starts to kind of unravel to the point where it's just a mess. It doesn't make any sense. Nobody likes it. And it's evident it's all just stemming from this terrible writing. Like Bella Ramsey herself could be forgiven for a lot of this stuff if the character was just written better
Mm-hmm.
and if she was a better actress. But she's not a good actress and she's written horribly. And, everything else just starts to come apart because if you don't like the main character, then it's really hard to get invested in a TV show. right? Like you have to spend hours with this person. Like you have to really get to know them and care about who they are as people. And if you fail to rope people into that interest, then you don't have a TV show.
Yeah. And the thing is, what's crazy is that if you watch some of the behind the scenes stuff, like especially interviews and some of like, the quirky stuff that Vanity Fair does and Entertainment Weekly, Bella Ramsey, yeah, she's weird. Okay. And yeah, she's like, I guess she's non-binary or whatever. So that's obviously going to attract some inflammatory things, but she's actually like, she's not bad as a person. Like she's pretty charming as a person. It's a little weird, but she's got a lot of energy. She's very happy. I would say I hate her as a person. That she's actually, kind of nice, kind of, to fun to sit there and watch, talk about the show and interviews and stuff like that. So it's like the writing is so bad that they're taking what would be an otherwise somewhat likable person as an actress and just turning her into shit. It's just very weird. Like I would implore you, go and like, it's a little cringy, but go back and just look up some stuff from Entertainment Weekly or Vanity Fair where it's just they're talking to her about the show or like what she's got going on in her career. She's not like Rachel Zegler, which is just like, a piece of shit from the ground fucking up. I think Bella Ramsey, has good
Oh, talking
intentions.
about Rachel Zegler that way.
I think Bella Ramsey has good intentions. I think she cares. I think she cares about her fans, and I think she cares about her career. But it's so weird what they've done with her in this show because the people, obviously hate Ellie as a character, and then by proxy, they're going to hate the actress that's behind her too. And I'm of the firm belief as this show has gone on, it's not her fault. She doesn't have the range.
No, no.
Whatever. She doesn't have the range. She can't do some of this emotional stuff. She's a bit of a fucking dickhead. Okay, that's who she is as an actress. It's the showrunner's fault for casting her in the first place and then giving her this piss poor writing to work with.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's not. You're right. It's not Bella Ramsey's fault. As much as we'd like to blame her,
I
she
mean, the
didn't hire
memes are great.
herself.
Let's be honest here. The memes are great, but still.
Yeah, yeah, they are. The memes are great, and again, I've done my part to make fun of her appearance, but it does just stem from the fact that she's so unlikable. Like I'm more talking about the character. Her like I call her a human cankle in my last video. Like but it's because she acts like a human cankle. It's not so much her appearance. It's just that she's so unlikable as a person in the form of the character. It really isn't her fault. In terms of Bella Ramsey, it's definitely the writers, man. They really just don't know how to make a character that's likable. They don't know how to approach her as a person. It feels like we get these hints of revenge and maturity, but then they'll pull it back, and she's all of a sudden like immature and selfish. And yeah, I mean, we could keep harping on her all day, and I think we've thoroughly dismantled her character. It's just bad,
Well,
and
let me
it's
disagree with you
unfortunate.
real quick though. Let me disagree with you because you
Sure.
just said the writers don't know how to make a likable character. I would say that is objectively false. I just don't think they know
Oh,
what they're.
sorry. Yeah,
I just
I
don't
mean,
think they
sorry.
know
I
what they're doing with
Yeah.
Ellie because Isabella Merced as Dina, as likable as you can get. Great character, beautiful, good screen presence, charisma. She's got it all as Dina, and she is extremely likable. So it's almost like they're going out of their way to purposely make Ellie unlikable.
Yeah, no, I definitely misspoke there. You're right. Dina is definitely a much more likable character, and Jesse was likable as well. Yeah, I don't think they do a good enough job with Dina as a character because she's too agreeable. She never has anything against Ellie's wishes. She's just kind of supporting, cheerleading Ellie's whims, and you get that with a lot of the side characters. I feel like there's just not enough of this rubbing up against each other, diverging opinions, conflict. And it makes the show really boring because when you have like a character dynamic like Dina and Ellie, for example, and you're following them primarily through the story, like we get like whole episodes where it's just them, right? Like episode 4 and 5 is just pretty much all about them going through Seattle. You need to have a lot of conflict between the two characters. You get this in buddy cop movies, right? You get this in a lot of different films where you can think of Will Turner and Jack Sparrow. You can think Han Solo and Luke Skywalker. Like
Oh yeah.
the list goes on and on. Russ Cole and Marty Hart from True Detective. where you have these two very different personalities constantly rubbing up against each other, and it creates a really interesting dynamic where you have different perspectives on the same situation. And with this show, they just really failed to do that because Dina is just way too agreeable. She's just way too much on Ellie's team all the time, and they're never morally opposed to something.
And
When,
that's the bad writing in the show, because in the game that's not the case.
yeah, I heard that in the game she's a lot more, they're a little bit more feisty.
Well, it's not necessarily that. It's that she's the yin to Ellie's yang. Like she is very supportive of Ellie, but like the game Ellie that we get is, like I said, so hell bent on revenge and anger and hatred. Dina is presented as the opposing force to that, and that she tries to ground Ellie. She tries to bring her back down to reality, tries to help, quell those feelings, and try to, put not only Dina herself, but the baby, which the baby's name is JJ. That's what's important, not this revenge, not this hatred. And that's the polar opposite of what happens in the show. Because obviously in episode 5, Dina's the one's like, hey, by the way, you know why you're here, right? You're here to go kill Joel's killer. Yeah. So like that's what I'm saying. The writing is just off completely. Like it's just really weird, and I don't get it.
Yeah, with Dina not being against Ellie all the time, it really creates this just boredom in the show where you don't get this conflict. Scenes are interesting because of the amount of conflict that's usually happening in them,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's like internal conflict or external conflict or conflict with others. You want to see your character growing through that change. And because Dina's just always cheerleading Ellie through everything, it just makes it so dull to watch. And there's this perfect example of this happening when they're walking down the road and Dina tells Ellie, that whether or not they should go forward, right? It's yet another debate on whether they should keep going after Abby. And Dina says something along the lines of, if I die, it's not your fault. You shouldn't worry about me. We should get revenge, right? So she's supporting Ellie there.
Right.
She then also says, so she said that it's not Ellie's responsibility to take care of her. She then fucking says, if you want to go forward and keep going, I'll do that. If you want to go home, I'll do that too. I'll do whatever you need me to do. So she, at one, she says it's not Ellie's responsibility what happens to her. And then in the next sentence, gives Ellie complete responsibility over her decision making. Like complete exempting her own agency. She completely gives over to Ellie as a person. So no matter what happens, it's on Ellie.
Yep.
Because she's completely put her own destiny in Ellie's hands. That's the definition of like no conflict. I'm just a side character. I'm a companion. I might as well be a dog.
Yep. Yeah, it was. I don't even know. I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, like I said, I'm getting so worn down now, just sitting there thinking about how polar opposite things are from the game. And again, for you pricks out there that talk about this 1-to-1, adaptation, how boring that would be. Like, it's just these are not small nitpicky things. These aren't little small scenes. These are like entire characterizations, the entire personality, and how certain people act in certain situations. And they could even get that right. It's just, to me, it's just all so ridiculous. And I don't, I don't. So look, how about this? Why don't we leave? We've been, oh Lord, almost an hour and a half here. We just get to talking, man. We just don't know how to stop. Um, which is a good thing. That's good. So how about this? We're hopefully we're gonna have a season 3. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, it's already been greenlit. Okay, there's a lot that has to happen from green light to principal. Okay, there's a lot that has to happen. They can cancel it at any time. Um, so with season 3, as someone who has knowledge of the games but hasn't really played them, or the first one, or I'm sorry, second one. What do you want to see out of season 3 now that we're going to be behind Abby's eyes and seeing things through, what she sees?
Well, I think the biggest thing that's been left undiscussed is this war between the WLF and the Scars. Like this
Good.
is they've really built up to it, and we still don't know anything about them or why they're at war. We get little hints of their differing philosophies, obviously. I mean, this could be a whole discussion how stupid it all is in my perspective, but like I would like to know more about it.
Huh?
I'm excited to see the assault on the island. It sounds like it could be a good action set piece. Yeah, I think I'm excited to see more of the more world building, and yeah, I won't go off another tirade about like that's another failure of the show is like how paper thin the world building's
Well, you're a
been.
Game of Thrones guy, so
Uh,
of course world building is very important to you.
Very important. Yeah, okay, actually, I'll make this one last analogy because I just thought of it today, and I've been watching a lot of the Furiosa clips again on YouTube.
Okay.
And I loved that movie when it came out. That was actually like one of the best movies I'd seen that year. I think it's very underrated. Had terrible views. Like nobody went to see it, which is unfortunate because it's actually quite a good movie. Not perfect, but really well done. And what it really succeeds at is world building. And they do it just through visuals. And there's a great comparison you could make towards The Last of Us season 2 and Furiosa because it's both about a woman who is on revenge against somebody who killed their parent in the post-apocalypse with warring factions all around them, and it's also they're both series based on male characters that are missing from that edition, right? So like Joel is missing from season 2, and then Mad Max is not in Furiosa at all. So it's like a complete female story.
Right.
And Furiosa is such a better storyline through and through on every level, but world building especially, where you have these great characters and great factions and they're at war and there's politics and all this stuff. And it's mostly just done through like what you see of them. They don't like go in depth in dialogue. It's famously a really quiet series.
Okay.
But that's something I think that The Last of Us should try to improve on, and I hope we get to see a little bit more of the WLF and the scars. I'm sure we will because it's going to be from Abby's perspective and all that stuff. But it was gaining my interest, and I was a little disappointed that we didn't get more of it, and we just kept getting these, the stupid island sequence where Ellie goes to the island and we get that dumb scene. I'm sure that little kid and that woman will appear in season 3.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think that's definitely something they need to focus in on for sure.
Well, I'll piggyback off of that. Like I do want to see world building as well, but I think what's more, I'm a character guy. I'm very character driven, which is why Joel meant so much to me in that first game. I could kind of, let go of some of the conveniences that happen because I'm just so focused on the characterizations. I want to see out of season 3. I want to see Abby in full perspective. It's Isaac talks about her pretty much being the second in command. She's very important to the WLF. She's very important to them winning the war. I want to know why that is. Like, show me her leadership qualities. Show me what she does on a day-to-day basis, how she leads people, how she treats her subordinates, her friends. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just give me that character in full, which is something they didn't do with Ellie this season. They didn't
Yeah,
give the full scope of her character. And
yeah.
I
Well,
hope they learn from that.
I can see why they want to make her a leader, but I mean, partially she is a woman, but she's not 50, so I don't know why. I'm curious as well what she brings to the table. I don't think she has the age range yet. She's not barren, so I don't think she should be leading.
Yeah, that is obviously that's a big thing there that she's in her early 20s, in the game and in the show. So I mean, yeah, it's a little weird, but I think out of all, I think obviously women can be leaders. Obviously, I think that's the case, but we're not talking about the majority. We're talking about one-offs here. We're talking about like
Yeah.
one or two, not everyone in the high leadership, being women. But Abby would be one of those characters, especially the Abby that we see in the game. She is one of those characters that is a leader, does have that mentality, can lead people, communities, wars, and stuff like that. And I really hope they expand on her in season 3 instead of just going, oh, hey, let's just watch all these story events. No, I wouldn't mind getting a whole episode of just us watching her go through her fucking day and how she treats people and what she does, just to give me a really good idea of who she is. So that way, when this world building happens that you're talking about with the war and who's winning and this, that, and the other, we have both of those ideas combined are going to be fantastic because we'll see the war happening and then obviously we'll see Abby participating in this war and we know exactly how she is and why she's doing all these things. It would be brilliant. And because it would be brilliant, they're going to do the opposite.
Well, actually, I have a prediction. I'll just say my prediction for season 3. I got 2 years to predict more, but right now, I think what will happen is that they will make the character halfway decent, but what I predict is that the audience is gonna just be for Abby. Like, nobody's gonna be on Ellie's team next season.
Oh,
Everyone's gonna
100%.
watch. They're all gonna turn against Ellie. Everyone's gonna be like, Abby's my new favorite character. I hope she wins. All this stuff. Um, but
And
yeah,
it's and
well, I
that's and it's just so funny. That's what we're seeing. Like, especially in my community, I've been talking. I mean, what huge fucking participation in the comment section. I mean, the whole series has about 3,000 comments, which is just crazy. Where people are talking about, they have the second game, and that second game back in 2020 divided the community like heavily. We're talking about it's probably one of the biggest gaming controversies of all time, if not the biggest gaming controversy of all time. And so seeing the fan base split like it did, the Joel side and then the Abby and Ellie side split, it was so glorious to see Neil, who split us back in 2020, bring us right back together again with this show. And how terrible it is.
yeah, because neither I get a lot of the same comments where I see them at war with each other, right? You get the first game lovers and then the second game lovers, and then they both agree that the show's not good for different reasons, and they might hate each other's opinions on what the games are, but nobody likes the show.
Yeah, I have I can't remember her name. It's like AKTV or something like that. And she's constantly coming on and looking at these analysis. And yeah, she's a big fan of the second game. And it's like, you wind the clock back 5 years ago, and I wouldn't even be fucking talking to you because it was just that bad of a split in the community. It was just like, I hate you for, I don't need an explanation. I just hate you because you like the second game. Now we're all like happy and talking to one another. Be like, oh, you like the first game? Okay, well, I like the second game better. But we both agree the show sucks. And it's like, thanks, Neil. You split us and then you brought us back together again. Absolutely brilliant, brother.
Well, I have no doubt that Neil Druckmann will stumble his way through Hollywood successfully, but I hope this terrible legacy follows him around forever. Like, I hope he just can never go a day without remembering how good he had it and all that he could have had, and he just pissed all over his own genius. Like, whatever you want to call it, is fucking garbage, and he's proven to be an incompetent asshole yet again. And he's
Mm-hmm.
not ready for TV. I know that's what he's trying to go for. He wants to be in movies and TV now. And yeah, I think this is just a great embodiment of who he is and his ideas. And I think Craig Manson is getting a lot of hate for this show as well. And I think people want to blame him a lot more. But Neil Druckmann is, yeah, like you said in some of my comments, like, he is the final say. He is from the yeah, he's the adapter. He literally calls himself the fucking messiah of this fucking franchise. Like, it all passes through him. So
Yeah.
he's got to be in some way to, like, yeah, at the end of the day, you're gonna blame him. Craig Manson, sure, go for it. He's definitely up there, but he's the number 2. Number 1 is Neil Druckmann.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's just like, and I love to because there were people obviously that were defending Druckmann and everything that the ground that he walks on, and talking about, well, no, Craig Mazan, he's writing all these, he's the one that's directing these, he's writing. How do you feel now, jackasses? Because episode 6 that was written and directed by Neil Druckmann, and he bastardized his own character. So it's like your defense goes out the window now, and yeah, and I've said that in your comment section. I do not think. If this was the first game of the first season of the show, I would not put that blame at his feet because the first game is not his baby. It was Bruce Staley's and little elements of Amy Hennig, 2 people that have left Naughty Dog magically. I wonder what that was. But the second game is his magnum opus. That was the story that Neil Druckmann always wanted to tell. That was actually the pitch idea he had for the first game. The first game was initially supposed to be about Joel killing somebody and Tess getting revenge against Joel. That was what the first game was originally supposed to be about. Naughty Dog said, "Nuh-uh, we like your idea, but we're going to change it," and that became the first Last of Us game. The second game became a story about revenge, the way the first game was originally visioned, to be in Neil Druckmann's eyes. So the second game is his magnum opus, and I'm not going to allow anybody to say, "Oh, it's not his fault." It is his fault. This is
Yeah.
his. The Last of Us 2 is his. He's on all the behind the scenes. He's answering all the articles, all the interviews. His name's all over this. If he didn't want something in this show, it wouldn't be in the show. Simple as that.
Yeah, I don't know how people disagree with that. If you just watch any interview, like he's very much willing to take all the praise air quotes
Right.
for it. And if you're willing to take all the praise, then you're also willing to take all the blame.
Yeah, and it's for me, it's a very personal level of hatred. Just with everything surrounding Joel and how he handled that character and continues to handle that character. So yeah, I'm not no comment sections. I don't care if it's your
He
video,
said he
my
loves
videos.
Joel.
Say again.
But he said he loves Joel.
Right, right, and we we were talking about this beforehand too, and I'll say it again for those that are listening. So I've seen plenty of people in my comment section, which I encourage. If you disagree with me, please disagree with me. Let's talk about it. And who came in and said, no, Joel love or Neil loves Joel. He said this. Like, here's this article. Here's this interview. Here's this. I had one guy come and did a podcast. Well, here's this podcast where he talks about how much he loves Joel. Okay, that's great. You can say what you want to. Like right now, Generation Offended. I will tell you that I'm a great person. I believe I'm morally a good person. I do good things. Now, if I walked out here on the street and murdered somebody, does it matter what I just said, or do my actions matter?
Yeah, your
It's my
actions
actions.
are
So
obviously.
Neil can
Yeah.
say he loves Joel as much as he wants to, but what he's done in the show and what he's done in the game tell a completely different story. And the fact that some people, and this is going to sound inflammatory, I don't care. The fact that some people are too stupid to see that is just crazy to me, and they're actively defending the guy. I just don't get it.
Well, don't worry about inflame. If anyone disagree with us, they're not listening at this point.
Yeah, right, right.
They're not around at this point in the video.
Oh yeah,
I guess one thing I'd like to dismantle as well is that the show is doing well. People have been saying that it's like got great ratings, that it's just a financial success. It's not. It's failing. I think it had like a 30% drop in views
from
after episode
I
two.
did. I looked this up from episode 1 actually to the premiere. You're looking at about a 30% drop, but some content creators are putting out there because it's really funny that HBO was very open with the viewership numbers to the first 3 episodes, and then that disappeared. But some people are speculating the viewership numbers dropped as much as 50% from the premiere to the finale.
I'm not even surprised. I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I would love to find out the real number, and I'm sure there'll be some internet sleuth who'll figure it out. But I mean, we'll probably have to wait a little while. But it's definitely not as good as they want it to be, and it's probably a lot worse than we all expected because they are definitely hiding those numbers.
Oh yeah, and I love the nonstop excuses too. And for me, it's like holy shit, it's deja vu. It's like 2020 all over again when the second game came out. When they're going, all the bigots, all the
Yeah,
rage baiters, all the babies are review bombing the show. And it's
yeah,
like, how come it's
yeah.
only review bombing when it's negative? If the reviews were positive, you wouldn't be saying this.
Exactly. Yeah,
So
I get grifter a lot. And it's always very telling when somebody says either you're a grifter, you don't have media literacy, you're a scammer, shit like that. It's just like immediately we know what you believe in. Like you're a part of a group and you just don't agree with me because of some political or ideology difference, and you assume a lot of things about me as a person. I get it all the time in the comment section. It's brutal.
yeah, see, I really don't get that. And I was talking to my girl last night about it because, I mean, my Last of Us videos teeter between, 95 to 97%, like to dislike ratio. But like for me, I'll see like on the current video, I've got 19 dislikes. And it's like, but you look at my comment section, it's mostly people mirroring what I'm saying. If you don't like what I'm saying, or they don't like what you're saying, or what any of us are saying, matter of fact, that those of us who are detractors, let's have a conversation. Like, don't sit there and call me a bigot, or don't call me a incel or a grifter or whatever. Let's attempt to find some middle ground here as opposed to being so polarized. And I found more agreeing with people that are on my side of the aisle. Like, how am I trying to say this? There's people that are on my side of the aisle that don't like the show that I think are being too harsh. And we've still came to a consensus and be like, you know what, you're kind of right. I'd be a little harsh, but I see where you're coming from, and we shake hands, right? I haven't done that at all with someone that disagrees with me. Zero. They're not looking for that. They're just looking to call you a bunch of buzzwords and then just go on the merry way.
That's so true. I've been getting the same thing. Yeah, I totally agree. There are people in my comment section too who go a little far as well, which is expected. You get both sides of the aisle, but the people who are against what I say are clearly not looking for a conversation, and they don't. And it's all just because they attack me personally. They don't defend any of the points I make. They don't try to say, "Hey, you're wrong about this." I got one thing saying, and I made a mistake in episode 5, my review. I said that Ellie finds Nora pretty conveniently in the hospital, and I
Hmm.
and I had forgotten that Dina hears about it on the radio where Nora is, and so then Ellie knows where to find Nora in the hospital, and it makes sense that way. And it's like, sure. I mean, it's still really stupid that they just happened to say where Nora was specifically in this hospital of assuming hundreds of people. Um, but and it's fine. I like it when people call me out on that kind of thing because that's a genuine mistake. I did mess up. I said the wrong thing. But when you say I'm a incel or I'm a right wing extremist, I'm a bigot, blah blah blah, because I didn't meet your political points or I just don't like the show. You're not really saying anything of substance, and you're not going to change anybody's mind. And they're really just trolls at the end of the day. And I think it's more entertaining than anything because you just immediately with the kind of similar repetitive lines of dialogue they have, right? Like the grifter, all those titles they throw.
Right.
It's just very telling, and it's just stupid. It's very dismissible. It's like whatever, man.
Right, and I, I
Yeah.
just I just hate how that is. I mean, your format is very different from mine when doing these videos. I mean, you kind of jump right into it, and I've got an intro, but something I say literally for I'd say a minute at the beginning of the video is that look, I'm not holding your comments. There is no moderation. If YouTube deletes them, sometimes they do. Like if you just say some off the wall shit and say like fucking 20 times in a row, sometimes YouTube will dismiss the comment, but I turn off moderation. I don't hold any comments. I don't delete anything. And it's like, look, let your opinion be heard, both for or against. Like, let it be heard and let's talk about it. And those people on that other side there, the ones that are calling grifters and this, and the other, that's all they do. They don't bring anything presentable and say, look, here's where I think you're wrong, and then go from there. Like, it's just, it's so mind numbing to me. And it's, someone like myself that I will sit there for a whole minute talking about how this is an open line of communication. Like, please say something. Like, let's really talk about this. It's literally my channel, Toller Talks. Let's talk about it. I say that shit at the end of every video. It's corny. I know it. It's fine. But they still don't. It's weird. I don't get it. I don't understand why people are so quick to shut down communication, because the people that love the show and the people that hate the show can find a middle ground that could help make the show better if the showrunners were to listen to it. But instead,
Yeah, what?
yeah, but
Yeah.
instead the showrunners look at this and going, those guys that hate it are just trolls, and the people that love us, they're the right ones. No, if we all got together, held hands, and try to find some fucking middle ground, maybe we can get through to these people. That'll never happen. Movie, TV, won't
No,
happen.
yeah.
Won't happen.
No, I mean that's just part of the internet, right? You get this you get this black hole, and you don't know what's going to come out of it, and it's a lot of the time it's trolls. Troll people who just like to troll, and that's fine. I like to troll back. It's fun. I don't hate it. And it never gives. I just never take it too personally. Like it's fine. You can call me whatever you want. I laugh at it 99% of the time because it's
Hmm.
so abrupt. And like you, I don't hold any comments either. And even when it's and usually it is just terrible insults to me as a person, I'll allow them. Like sometimes we'll get. Even though I have no moderation on my comments, it'll still hold them, and it'll give me the option to allow them on my videos, and I'll just let them go through no matter what they are. Um, but
Yeah, right. For those that are
but
still listening, so when we create videos and we post it down at the very bottom in your initial description, it'll say comments, and YouTube always starts off with basic moderation. So if you say something like the F word, or you call someone a cunt or something like that, YouTube will automatically hold it and we have to authorize it. What Generation Offended and I do is there's an option there where you turn moderation off. And as a matter of fact, when you turn it off, YouTube tells you, hold up, wait a minute. You're just turning this off completely. You understand that, right? We're like,
Yeah, they're
yeah.
like, whoa. Yeah, they're I mean, YouTube's huge on demonetization a lot of the time. I mean, I shouldn't say that because, we don't want their eyes on us, not that anyone's looking, but
I don't know.
our YouTube
HBO was
overlords, they are perfect. They are great. I love them.
HBO is, and I'll tell you what, I had 6 of my videos copyright claimed by HBO, and all 6 under YouTube review were revoked. So HBO lost. So
Yeah,
there's
I
that
want to
too.
say congratulations, man. That was after you made them, right?
That is correct. Yeah, and it happened to the drinker too, where he had a big video criticizing The Last of Us, and he didn't just get claimed; he got struck. They removed his video, which is completely
Wow.
for folks that are listening on the YouTube side of things. Whenever we get copyright claimed, what that means is that there's a specific section in our video that belongs to someone else. That whatever, we'll just say HBO. HBO says this belongs to us, and we're going to take the income you make from this video because of that. That's a copyright claim. A copyright strike is, this is our stuff. We're not going to allow it out. Remove your video now. And that's what they did to Drinker, and then it got revoked. But yeah, for me, they were taking, which I make pennies on the dollar anyway as far as videos go. This lifestyle is not luxurious, I can assure you. But yeah, they were trying to claim entire 10, 11-minute videos because they happen to find a 5-second clip in there. And I fought back.
Yeah, good for you, man. I was really I was gonna go because I've never dealt with it after I made the video. Like I've made a video and then they're like, go back and change this. It's not, like they can catch you before the video's out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to you essentially have to abide by their rules. I mean, you can try to fight them on it. It's a little, but then like they can make you wait a while as well. It's all this fucking bullshit. But I'm really happy for you, dude, that you got it all taken care of. Like that's awesome. That's a huge victory. And it was so clear that they were just trying to demonetize you because they didn't like what you were saying.
Right. And so what Generation Offended is talking about, this is what a lot of us content creators do, so that when we create a video, like it's a long process. It may be 8 to 12 hours, depending, from watching something to scripting to actually getting it done, post, all that, is that we'll upload a video and there's bots. Like YouTube has bots that will detect what's in your video. And if they detect like a certain scene, or we'll say like audio, like music, they'll flag it and say, this is copyright material. So ahead of time, and you're like, oh shit. And then it gives you time to pull the video, not publish it, change what you need to change, etc. That's not what happened to me. All of my stuff went through the copyright, was fine, clearly monetized. YouTube didn't give a shit, except, I don't know, what was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago? Every single one of my videos, just like one after the other, were getting claimed by HBO, despite them being weeks old. So when people say, oh, it's not personal, it's just bots. No, that was pretty fucking personal.
Yeah, that's what I thought initially. It was just a bot who was doing it. But then when you started to describe what was happening, I was like, yeah, that's somebody watched your channel and went through all these videos and was like, yeah, we're going to get rid of this guy. He's causing trouble.
Yeah. And so when people were in the comment section talking about the drinker, and they were like, oh yeah, he's sitting there talking about there's like some big conspiracy theory against him and they're trying to silence him. I don't know if there's some big conspiracy theory, but I find it funny that within the hour of his video getting posted and it getting brought down by HBO, that's not how that works. Like, you'll get a copyright claim. That happens automatically by a bot. That will happen. In order to get a strike and your video requested to be removed, that's a real person that's doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably just it's either somebody on HBO watched the video or knew about it and asked YouTube to take it down, or somebody in YouTube itself didn't like what the drinker was saying and tried to take it down. But it's not a conspiracy theory. There's obviously somebody who just didn't want what he was saying to be said, because obviously it didn't. He won the battle. There was nothing wrong with it. There was a clear motivation to get rid of it because of what he was saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had actually saw his video pop up, and I was getting my own episode analysis out, And I was like, well, I'll save it. I'll save it. I'll listen to it later. I do like the guy. I've met him. He's a great guy. And I think it's funny too. So many people conflate me with him. It's like you're just copying him. I'm literally the polar opposite of this guy.
I,
Show me one fart joke that's in my video. That's like his thing. So, but I'm like,
I get the same thing too.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
people have done the same thing to me. I'm not. I don't think my style is in any way like the drinker's style.
no, like my entire channel is based on Tarantino. Like I don't get it. But I saved that video, and I remember I messaged you. I saved it, and then when I tried to go back to it, it said it had been removed. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what happened? And then, yeah, of course he won because a couple days later it popped back up. So, but just to kind of round out
Yeah.
the conversation, do you have anything for me? We've done it again. We've almost gone on for 2 fucking hours again.
Yeah, man. I mean, this. How could you? How could you not? Right? Like, there's so many things I still didn't touch on that I would love to talk about. But you're right. I think we should just wrap this baby up. I'm trying to think of any questions. We got so far off the topic of The Last of Us. Now we're talking about YouTube. I've kind of lost my what I was thinking about. Well, I'm gonna maybe I'll cop out and say if you had to rank this show, like, on the level of, like, bad TV shows,
hmm
where do you put The Last of Us season 2? Is it and I try to, I guess, put your own I know you have a bias with, like, the game and all that
hmm
stuff, but, like, out of all the shows you've watched and, you're watching a lot of movies and stuff, like, the cinema you've consumed this year, is this the worst thing you've seen, or is there something else that's been bugging you more than The
No,
Last
this
of
is
Us?
definitely it's definitely not the worst thing I've seen. I was talking to my buddy Awards Garage last night on his live stream, and he hasn't seen it, and he said, Toller, you seem very passionate about this. Should I watch it? And I'll tell this to anybody that asks me that question. Watch it. It's worth the watch, but put your expectations in the dirt. I think it's good enough cinematically. I think there is some value there that if you have no idea what the franchise is about, you've never played the games, it is entertaining. I give it that. It is entertaining. But once you start adding those different layers there of knowing about the game and knowing the characters and knowing the creative directors and all that, that's when it gets really bad. But no, I wouldn't say it's the worst thing. I think that still goes to Alarm this year. That's probably the worst film I've seen so far, and I'm at what 58 now. So that says
Okay,
something.
yeah. Yeah, that's fair. I I haven't even heard of that one. I haven't even
Yeah,
heard of
yeah. It
Alarm.
was some fucking like direct to streaming action film that had Scott Eastwood and Sylvester Stallone, and it was, let's just put it this way, it's so CGI heavy that they had CGI windows that broke. It was
Oh
very
my god.
very weird. So yeah, but no, I
Yeah.
don't think The Last of Us is the worst thing. I don't think it's the worst thing on television. And you know, do I think it deserves the generic hate it's getting? No, not the generic hate. Now, if you played the game, yes, it deserves the hate. But yeah, I think it's okay for what first season was miles better. But yeah, the second season it's just I'm biased. I don't know. I'm just so fucking disappointed.
That's fair, man. I mean, I think if you can say that it's not the worst thing ever, I think it shows that you're not as biased grifter as people would say.
Yeah, dude, this thing is
Yeah.
just horrible, man. I'd rather go watch fucking grass grow. No, it's not the worst thing. It's just and at a level it doesn't, it does make me angry because I am very passionate about the the source material, but at the end of the day the emotion that describes how I feel about it the most is just that it's disappointing. It's disappointing to see one of my favorite games of all time, some of my favorite characters in all of entertainment, not just gaming, and just seeing what's happening to them. It's very disappointing to the point it's almost saddening. Where it's just like, wow. But my question
Yeah,
for
well, there's sorry, go
oh yeah,
go ahead.
my question for you, because I mean we're getting off The Last of Us. It's over. It's done with. Fallout show. Are you looking forward to? Are you looking forward to it? Now lay your bias aside, like I did mine.
I fucking hate it. Well, it's December, right? So it's coming. It's still a while to wait. I am dreading it. I do have a bias. It's unremovable, but I just know what's coming, and I think just because I don't know if a lot of people know this, and I don't know if I explained this right the last time we talked about Fallout, and is that the show is canon to the games.
Yep. Yeah, we did.
So okay, we did talk about that. So no matter what they do, even if it's the best show ever, they're making a canon to Fallout New Vegas, which is like famously one of the most, you know, explorative
Oh,
multi-choice
it's my
endings
favorite.
to any game
Yes,
ever.
sir.
Sorry?
I said it's my favorite. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's my favorite game. I play that game like a gazillion times. It's so much options. Like you can play it a million times and have a different result every time, which is so cool. So that they're ultimately gonna have some kind of shitty ending to the Fallout New Vegas game that I'm not gonna agree with, and nobody's gonna like because that's not what happened in their game. And giving a canon ending is so fucking beyond stupid. But yeah, so I'm dreading it. It's not going to be very good, and it's only going to get worse from here. So I'm pretty adamant that it's going to be bad. And I will try to go into it with as open mind as I can. Like I will try to see the good in everything. And to be fair, I didn't say anything good about The Last of Us this conversation. I did have one good thing to say,
Oh,
where there was a scene where Ellie dries off her gun and her bullets. I like that. That was
basic
she
weapon
got
maintenance. Okay.
yeah, yeah, I was like, that was good. That was I think that was the one scene in the entire episode where I was like, "Wow, okay, congratulations, you impressed me."
well, I asked that question that I asked is because it's so abstract as two shows. So that's why I wanted to hear what you had to say because The Last of Us is I don't want to say universally hated, but there's a lot more hate thrown at The Last of Us, like by a mile. Whereas the Fallout show is actually really beloved. As a matter of fact, and I'll talk to you.
Yeah,
I'll talk to you about this when we get off here. I've told you before about Universal and us going down to Halloween Horror Nights, the big haunt event that they've done, that they do every year. Fallout is supposed to be at the event this year, so the the show and the property is so beloved by everybody. It's so weird to hear someone like yourself go, I don't have a whole lot of hope.
I know. It's definitely a different position. Like with The Last of Us, like you just said, like everybody's against it. So when we talk badly about it, we're in this big wave of hate that everyone's riding right now. And when it comes to Fallout, I'm definitely like the odd man out. Like, especially when I even talked to my friends about it, like everybody liked it. And again, I wanted to like it. I almost convinced myself that it was like a decent TV show. But yeah, that's like a whole other conversation we got to have at some point. I'm probably going to rewatch the Fallout show leading up to the next season, so we can really get into it then. But yeah, they just broke the whole lore of it, and it was just Easter eggs and name dropping and all that bullshit that we get from Disney Star Wars and all those terrible little things that we hate about it, where it's like. Oh, hey, there's the dice. There's Han Solo's dice. We gotta have that little reference in there. That shit is prevalent through the Fallout show so heavily. And
Well,
it's
I'll
just
take your word for it.
lazy. It's bad storytelling. Yeah, it's we're gonna be here for 2 more hours if I
No,
get into
no,
the
no. So that
Fallout
yeah, let me steer you back in. So before we end this, is there anything sign off? Something you want to say to the folks that have been listening? Go ahead.
Well, actually, I want to end on this point because we were talking about we started talking about the Fallout show. We talked about The Last of Us. And me and you have talked a lot about how video game movies are going to be prevalent in the future. And I think TV shows, video game movies, like it's going to be the main thing going forward in Hollywood because as we know, Hollywood hates to make new things. They like to
Uh-huh.
have a built-in fan base. And so the last thing I can think of that they haven't really exposed or done a lot on is video games. There's been a lot of failures, but now there's this chance to, they've seen what they could get out of it. They've seen the billions that are there, right? With the Minecraft movie
Mm-hmm.
and The Last of Us before it went to shit. So if you think that this is the end of the crap line of failed franchises and destroying good IPs, we're just moving on to the next phase, which is video games. And I think we're gonna have a lot of conversations in the future about how I used to love this game and now the movie and the TV show is complete garbage. So I think there's a lot of things to I don't want to end it on a sad note, but I think there's a lot of dread in the future. And there will be some nice moments. There will be some highlights. But there's I don't trust Hollywood with these IPs. The Fallout one is my favorite, and they're ruining it. And they've ruined The Last of Us, and there's a lot of other games that are coming. The Halo show did terribly, you know, like there's a lot to dread in the future, unfortunately. But as a last message, I want to say thanks for everyone for listening, and you know, comment away. Let us know your opinions. I'd love to hear what everyone has to say. We're open to discussion. We talked about it for a while about how, you know, troll us if you want. I'm very trollable personally. I suck and I'm annoying and I'm angry and I'm bigoted. I'm all those things you want to say about me. So go ahead and say that in the comment section. And Toller, it was lovely to talk to you as always.
Yeah, if you want to hate away, that's not something I implore you to do. I implore conversation and middle ground, but we know how people are. So yeah, that is what is this, the third episode I believe that we've done
Third,
here in
yeah.
the podcast. Yeah, so we're coming all the way from the middle seats. This is my man Generation Offended. I'm Toller Talks, and we'll talk to you guys later.